Welcome, everybody, to a new edition of UFO Man Live. My name is Tim, or UFO Man, and to my side is my co-host, my friend, Tommy Highway. Tommy?
Hey, folks, Tommy Highway here. I want to thank everybody for coming out, as always. We have a fantastic show for you this evening, a couple of great guests. However, Terry Lovelace, who you folks have seen here on the channel many times, you know how much we love him. He's one of our very favorite guests. He's actually running a little bit late, and we do also have with us, we're very privileged to have Lisa Savoy. And Lisa lives in Windsor, Ontario, with her two boys and her beloved husband. She encountered the Greys, whom she calls the little people, during her childhood. She has also had contact with the Reptilians, the Men in Black, and a Nordic named Angie. Now, as she grew older, her experiences became more intense and traumatic, but she has managed to take care of her children and move forward. Lisa has just released her first book entitled Living in Two Worlds, A True Account of Alien Encounters. Folks, it is our honor and my pleasure to bring you Lisa Savoy. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Our pleasure.
Okay, Lisa, the last time we had you on, you told us all about your initial encounter out in the field. But tonight we would like to go a little bit further along in your encounter situations that have happened to you, and have you talk about when they started first, when you were younger in the house, and what exactly happened and what you saw.
Okay. I was at the age of 3.5, and one night something woke me up. I got up. I noticed how the wall in the back of my room was turning pitch black, and the room felt cooler. Then I noticed 8 little, they're 3.5 feet high. They stepped out through the wall. They were gray from head to toe. They had large black eyes. They had no hair or ears. They had a flat nose and a small slit for a mouth. I stepped out of my bed. I approached one of them and I spoke to him. Their appearance didn't frighten me. I was very curious, and I started talking to him. I said, "How did you get my room? Like, how did you come through the wall?" No answer. I told him my name. Still no answer. I put my hand up in front of him as a friendly handshake. He just looked at me from head to toe, still not saying anything. Then I noticed the atmosphere changed. Something didn't seem right. One half of them went to the left. The other half stepped over to the right side. And all of a sudden, I couldn't move. I can feel like an energy going around me and through me. Next thing, I could feel myself being lifted off the floor and pulled towards where the wall should have been, where it's all pitch black. I couldn't move my eyes. I couldn't move at all. And when I tried to scream, I couldn't scream. When I tried to move, I would feel pain from head to toe. And I remember I started screaming in my mind, calling for my mother, saying, "Mommy." I was terrified. I was being pulled right through where the wall should have been. It was just all black. And I believed I passed out from the struggling. And that's all I remember on that one there.
Okay, in your book, you also referenced the fact that when you struggled, they touched you with what you described as a fire stick.
Yes. It's a long silver gray rod. And they would give you a shock. That's what it do. It would give you a small shock. And when they used it on you, it just felt terrible. You feel like a burning, surging pain just going through your body.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how many times they used this on you and what was their reasoning? Was there any telepathic communication to let you know why?
I remembered if I was starting to get out of hand, like trying to fight or struggling too much, that's when they would use it on you. Like, I don't remember any warning. They just would pick up the stick. One time I was lying on a table. I started kicking at one of them, and he put it on my foot. And when he'd done that, I just felt this horrible burning, stabbing pain going from my foot right up to my head. And after they'd done that, I actually lied there twitching on the table uncontrollably.
Did they ever try to communicate with you at all?
They did telepathically in my mind. Sometimes it's words or feeling.
So they're able to actually project an emotion to you. Like if they
Yes.
they wanted you to feel an emotion, they could actually, that's interesting.
Yes.
And didn't they also project like images or shapes or images like pictures rather than words?
I don't remember pictures, no.
Okay.
Just words
Um,
and feelings, strong emotion.
Words and feelings, strong emotion. Okay. Um, can you go a little farther along in your story in regards to how it switched from just the Greys to the other life form that you encountered, known as the reptilian race?
Okay. I remember I've seen the reptilians before I met Angie. And I remember having 5 encounters with them. I remember there was a man, he was with me, and I believe it was underground. He's like dressed in a black suit, like the jacket and the white shirt and a tie and the pants. And he was on the right hand side of me. And he just take me down the hall. But it was weird though. The walls were kind of like black. I never seen some lighting, not much. And he took me down a little ways. I don't know who this man was. I don't remember how he got me there. But he took me down the hall. There's a door to the left. He takes me into a room. And there's another man there, just the same way. And again, the walls were black. They were dark. And there was a few lights in there, not a lot. There's enough I can see what they look like. And the other one was in the room already. He approaches me. He picks me up and sits me on this table. examining table. And across from me, the table I was sitting on, there's another table, like a white fold-out table. And there's a briefcase on that table. And I remember the one that sat on the table, opens up this briefcase. He takes out like a clipboard, a chart. He goes through that. And then he puts it back down. This one here was wearing sunglasses, like shades. And I was thinking to myself, why is he wearing sunglasses? It's dark in here. As a child, I didn't understand why he was wearing them. And then he decides to take his jacket off as well as a tie. And the other one does the same thing. I remember it being really warm in there, in that room. And he comes over and he tells me to lie on the table. I didn't want to lie on the table, but I had to. He sounded really stern. So I lied down. One's at my feet. The other one's at my head. And next I know, both of them take my clothes off. I'm lying there with nothing on. Then I hear something coming from the left side. And I can hear a noise. It's like a deep mumbling sound. Then I can see something come from my left side. I thought, those aren't the little people. They were dressed dark. Little people never wore anything. And they were taller. It wasn't until they got closer to me, I could see how huge they were. Like there's 5 altogether. They were huge, tall, wide, hulking figures. And as they got closer to me, I noticed how they looked like. They had like a head, something like a T-Rex, of a T-Rex. Had yellow eyes. And I can smell like a smell coming from them, like an odor. And so they got closer. Like they were lizards. They're lizard people. They're like dinosaurs. Why do they look that way? A couple stayed on my left side. Other 3 went around to my other side. They were huge. I was terrified. I didn't understand what was going on. And one of the reptilians stood by the end of one of the MIBs. Then the other one stood by my head. The ones are at my side. I can feel like a scratching feeling on my lower sides and my stomach. I can feel like their claws. Like they had huge claws. I say at least like a foot long, their claws alone.
Wow.
And the one back by my head, I remember he took this huge, he had like this huge hand. It was full of scales, and he had those claws. And what he did, he put his hand over my face. And then I was knocked out. That's all I remember. But I never had an experience 5 times. It was terrifying.
Sure, it was.
Do they still come and visit?
Yes, I do. Still see him once in a while.
Tommy?
So did the reptilians, did they try to communicate with you in any way, or were they just physically there? And that was...
They did telepathically, and sometimes they would speak verbally like us, but it's mostly telepathic. I remember they have a really huge, deep, heavy, guttural voice. Yeah.
One thing I got to ask that isn't asked very often, did they have an odor?
Yes, they have an odor, yes. They always do. Even today, I see them. Sometimes I'll smell the odor before I even see them.
Can you describe the odor?
I can never figure out a way to describe the smell. Like, the best way for me is like a musty smell. That's the best way. Like
body odor?
Yeah. something like
Okay.
that, but different. It's like a different smell. Yeah.
Interesting. So I guess, did you get the impression that there were several different species sort of working together on whatever it is that they were doing?
Yes.
So I guess what we're saying is, what I'm asking is, on board the craft, and we're talking about, you saw multiple species, different species.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting.
So you mainly saw the reptilians and the grays then, the
Yeah.
little people.
Mm-hmm.
And were the
Well,
little people performing like menial tasks in the gray, and the reptilians were more in control?
It seems that way. Like as a child, when I seen the reptilians, they're with the men in black.
really?
Yeah, they're always with them during my childhood.
Huh. That's
So
interesting.
the men in black are what, hybrids?
To me, they seem to be very human. Like, I don't sense anything alien from them. Not mine. Like, I'm not saying is in my, like, my mom believes they are hybrids,
Mhm.
but mine are human. As far as I know, they appear to be very human.
Well, speaking of your mother, in one of the things that we've actually found, with these cases, with cases of abduction, missing time, things of that nature, is they tend to be sort of generational. In other words, if a person's having an abduction experience, then chances are one of their family members, before them and in the past, has also had this experience. Have you encountered that? I mean, have your parents had any kind of experiences that they recollect?
My mom. And like she never, it's like years, like she knew about me being experienced for a while now. And she never really said, but the way she would talk about things, she's an experiencer. And since now my book's out, she probably figures, well, she's admitting it's my time to do it. So she finally admitted it. She's an experiencer herself, but she's not the type to go out and talk about like I am. She doesn't want to do that.
Well, it takes really what is an expression we have in this country, a yard of guts, to actually do that and actually come forward. I mean, this is not something that can be
No,
taken lightly. People are going to see you in a certain light for the rest of your days as soon as you come out and begin talking about UFO experiences. And
yeah.
unfortunately, that's sort of the nature of the beast, so to speak. Tim, what are your thoughts on that?
Not just the UFO. I think UFOs are more accepted. I think where you're going to get a lot of your ridicule from and your unacceptance is the discussions on the alien life forms that you're encountering, because um, it's just a story until we can authenticate it. And the thing is, we can't authenticate it except based on your story and other people's stories matching your account. That's where I get my evidence, is from other people matching you. And there are hundreds of people seeing the same thing that you are.
Mhm.
So I justify that as truth. So in my opinion, you're telling the truth.
Yes.
Um, so people out there watching in the chat, people watching online, please understand that this lady has a lot of courage
Mhm.
coming out and saying this. This book she wrote is her personal journal put into writing. So you should go pick it up and check it out.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, let me ask you this, Lisa. Has this affected you, your experiences? Have they affected you going into your adult life in terms of the relationships that you've had with people and are able to form with people, or anything like that?
Some ways it did a little bit, but I always managed to hide it. Like people that really know me, like I have a friend I knew for years, or since I was 8 years old. We're still friends today.
Hmm.
And she knew me. She knew sometimes I was a little depressed. I was a little withdrawn, unconfident. She just knew something, like, why is Lisa like this? Like people even asked me if I was abused. I said no, no.
Hmm.
They just knew. Like my friends today, I'm lucky. Like of course I said to like some knew like for years, but I told them who I am and no problems.
Like, how did you? I don't mean to ask you a very personal question, but I've actually always sort of been very curious about this because I've actually never really brought this up with a partner that I've had as far as my UFO experiences or anything like that. And I'm assuming we know that your husband does know about your experiences.
Yeah.
How did that come up in your relationship, and about when in your relationship did that come up? If you don't mind my asking.
Oh no. Well, actually, my husband didn't know till after we moved here. Like we're living in Windsor. See, what happened was how he found out. I reached out to MUFON, and he saw the email on the computer
Wow.
Oh,
about me saying I'm an experiencer and this is what I went through. He didn't
right.
say anything right away till I told him. And he goes, like, so maybe a week or so after, and he says, I know, I seen it on the email. But after that, it was fine. He hasn't really said anything like he was freaked out or what's going on here. He didn't act that way.
I see.
Being that he was in the military, did he actually see anything himself?
When it comes to UFO or something like that, no. But sometimes he has, like, in the morning, he'll wake up and saying, and this is always only after I had an experience, right? He'll say, I must have been dreaming because I wake up, I see something small going around our bed. But at this time, our sons are older. Or he'll say he'll wake up and I won't be in the bedroom or anywhere. He's told me stuff like that.
I sort of have a two-part question. Are your children aware of this, of your situation, and have they had any kind of an experience that you're aware of?
Yes, they have.
Can you tell us about that?
Oh, my youngest one, he'll wake up, especially last time he woke up, he was terrified. I can see it in his eyes. He was really afraid. And he told me how the Greys would be in his room. He actually has seen them.
So once again, we're talking generational, and like Tim and I we've talked about this on other shows. There are definitely one-off abductions, what we like to call abductions of opportunity, if you will, in terms of the aliens, the person's at the wrong place, the wrong time, and that does happen. But again, based on our experience with all the people that we've interviewed, and we've interviewed quite a few abductees over the years, it seems to be pretty much a generational thing. I mean, you can almost bet your bottom dollar that if you're having experience, your parents did, or someone else in your lineage did. So that's interesting. Are you concerned about your children's experiences and what this could be doing to them? I guess emotionally.
I think as of now, they're doing good with it. Like today, like my oldest one, like at time was having this horrible time in Winnipeg. It's in my book. And I didn't put this part in my book at that time. I just didn't want to get my sons involved in it. But I know, like, during nights I had these experiences. I wake up in the morning, and my oldest son would say, Mom, you'll see one or two men in black suits coming in my room and taking me. He actually told me that. And when he's younger, I just told him, you're dreaming. It's okay. It's just, and he goes, no, Mom, they're not dreams. They're real. He'd actually start crying. And I just didn't know what to do. I said, if I tell him the truth, is it going to frighten him? Because he's only young then. Mm-hmm. But he's in tears. He says, Mom, I seen men go in your room to take you. So this is the time I had that horrible issue in Winnipeg with the burns and that on my knees.
Burns on your knees?
Yeah, it's in my book.
Can you elaborate on the burns, the scoop marks, the cuts, and the strap marks?
Okay, the strap marks. I actually had it here have it happen here a couple times too. There's something I had since my childhood. And what causes these strap marks is there's some memories. They would literally strap my wrists, my ankles, and even sometimes I remember one across my chest. they would do that so I couldn't thrash myself around. I remember a child, since my childhood, they would have something like a silver headband, like another piece on top, like screws holding together. I should have drew a picture of that. I didn't do it. But they would put that across your forehead. Then they put another piece on top of your head. It's like silver, like a silver cap. They put that on your head too. The piece on your forehead that had like on each side of it wires. And I remember seeing the machine at back. And what they would do, they would hook it up. I would hear humming, beeping, and buzzing sounds. And I feel like a shock just going through my head. And they would pick up a little, get a little more tense to it would be like I get a shock in my head like every second. To the point I start screaming, then I pass out. I'll mostly be lying down, but there's a couple instances I remember sitting in a chair.
Do you have any idea at all what their goal was, what they were going for there?
I wish I knew.
So they don't really communicate with you at that level.
Yeah.
I see.
Are they still doing it?
Sometimes they'd be the gray, sometimes they were human.
Human.
Yeah, sometimes I had human do that to me too.
It's
There have
interesting.
been
We've heard that before as well. Human presence during an abduction experience. Certainly not the first time. It's very interesting.
Yeah, but it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, you seem to remember an awful lot about your abduction experiences, which is rather rare that people actually just, kind of recall that. Have you ever been regressed, even though you have memories of?
7 times.
Really? How did all that go?
I'd go in there. I would talk to my aggression, and she put me under. There's some parts I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember, but she told me when she put me under, I told her the exact same thing when I was awake before she put me under. And she told me too, I'm rare. I didn't really know about that till later. Hello, Terry.
Hi.
And it wasn't until she told me that. I didn't know I was rare, but I can remember everything. I remember too much. And I think it was last year, I never told you, but I have a horrific memory of being underground. I wish I didn't have it. I wish I don't remember it, but I remember it.
we interviewed.
They were human. They weren't ETs. They were human. Was it horrible?
We interviewed someone last week who claimed to have been taken underground, and so that's not uncommon.
No.
He was in a large hangar type area underground with different kinds of beings there, not just humans, but other types.
Yeah.
So welcome, Terry. Glad to have you on the show. We knew you'd be coming. We just wanted to see you here.
Well, better late than never.
Yes.
Right.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Oh, that's fine.
No problem.
Glad you're here. We're in the story where we're talking about the experimentation and the forced strapping down and cut marks, burns, scoop marks, and things that Lisa has suffered through the years that she described in her journal that was produced as a book.
Yes. And that's been a lifetime event, hasn't it, Lisa?
Oh, yes. Since 3.5 to today.
Hey, Lisa, can you talk about the maze room?
Okay, the maze room. Yes. That's another one I remember very well. Okay, I remember there was probably 4.5 in there. And I started doing that. I remember there was me, there's another girl, and there was 2 boys. And they would have us go into a room. There'd be like a table there, a rectangle shaped table, and we would sit around that. And the grays would be in front of us. And they gave us something like best way to put it, like a tablet, but the screen wasn't black. Like we know it's just all white. And there's like black symbols on it. And we had to learn those. So we had to study those. And what we would do, we would work together. We would make games, like who can remember the most first, who can learn the most at first. And we would help one another. But the other girl there, she was always crying. She just really withdrawn. And we didn't think she's going to last that long because she just wasn't doing well. And when we finished, when we learned all the symbols, I remember they took us down a long hall. You get down to the end, door would slide open. Look at the entranceway is like part of the wall, like it just slid right inside the wall there. And we step in. And it's like a rectangular shaped room. It was weird because the rest of the ship, the walls were white, like really bright. But you went in there. It was really dark, like the walls like a medium gray. Very little lighting in there. So we step in, we go into the right. It was really intimidating because, you know, it's not really bright in there. And you turn over to the left. There's a gray at each side there. And again, like the walls, like this, like slid right inside the wall there. One stood open on the left side, another one on the right side. And it was really interesting because you look at the end of the wall there, you can see like 9 entrances. You had 3 square inches on the top, 3 in the middle, and 3 on the bottom. And you can tell that they're lit up inside like a light bluish light. And they had the stick ladder, something like a chain stick ladder. That's the best way of describing it. You use that to get into 2nd and 3rd levels. My first time I went in there, I went into the entrance on the bottom left. And the thing about this thing now, you had to go in there on your hands and knees. That's the only way you can really fit in there. And on the sides of the bottom there, they had like long lights just running up and down this bottom of the wall on the floor. Had like these lights. And they had like black symbols, like they're upraised on the lights. And you see like lines, like lines, like the symbols between those, like columns. They'll be in that. And you had to use those symbols to get your way into the maze. But after we all got into the place you're supposed to go, they would slide the doors shut on you. And when they'd done that, the feeling you got was horrible. You knew you're stuck in there. You could not leave, get out of there till you'd done it, till you do the whole maze. So we went through, and each, like you had to follow the symbols on the bottom. And as you got to every corner, like the corners, they would curve. And on the side of the wall there, you see more symbols. So you know which way you're going, if you're going right or left. You had to go through all there. And as you went through the maze, there's different levels. When you first start, you're up high, and you had to make your way down. And you had to make sure when you went down, you're on the right level. So we kept going through. Sometimes we would meet one another, but we weren't allowed to talk to one another. We just keep going our own way. And one time, I got to the very back of the wall there, and in the maze, and I could see like little openings, openings on back of the wall there. And sometimes like there are openings, and sometimes you can feel like the wind blowing in through the entrance. And I thought, oh, good, I'm almost at the end. And as I got down to the wall there, as I looked through the openings, I can tell that I was still up high. I can remember the trees will be below us and I'll be up above the trees. And I thought, okay, that's when one part got intense, because you had to we had to find out where it was for you to go down. It's like a ramp, and you had to find out, okay, which ramp is it you have to go down. So we went down the ramps until I got down to the very bottom. And even when you did get to the bottom, there's no more lights showing you which way to get out. It's just like openings, and somehow like different symbols on the openings. And you had to figure out which one to get out. Sometimes you'd be banging frantically on an entrance, trying to figure out which way to get out. I remember we would push it open or kick it open. When you'd done that, the door would pop open, and then you would go feet first. And once you're outside, you're like in a field with trees in it. And you had to run, like they'd give us a location of what area you're supposed to run to. So we had to run there in a group of trees and just stay there till they picked us up and brought us back again.
Wow.
Very interesting. I think you mentioned in the book you've actually been off planet. So they've actually they've transported you from the planet to a ship that was actually in orbit. Is that correct?
Oh, Angie, the Nordic,
Yeah.
she's the one that takes me. Yes.
So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, sure. I'll go from the first encounter. Okay, I remember the first night I met Angie. Like one time I was in bed, something woke me up, and I thought, what? And I heard like knocking on the window, and I looked out the window. I seen a woman there standing in my window, and I thought, how could this be? Because we have a 2-story home, row house. So I sat up in bed, and she just comes right through the window and wall, like there's just nothing there. And I wasn't afraid of her. She had a different presence. And she comes over, starts talking to me. She goes, hi, Lisa. And I'm there, how does she know my name? There's just no way she'd know my name. She sat on my bed beside me on the right side. And she started talking to me. She knew everything. She knew who my mom is. Oh, everything. My sister. And it's like, how she knew everything about me. Like she knew about the Greys, everything, the Men in Black, the Reptilians. She knew all that stuff. And as a kid, you're thinking, well, how does she know this? Because, they can get into your mind. They can see everything that's in your mind. Yeah. She was very friendly, very peaceful. She was totally different. She's totally direct opposite. I remember she had long white hair. She has blue-green eyes, a little bit bigger than ours, a little bigger. Her skin was very fair, like white. And she's wearing a jumpsuit with a V opening in the neck.
Yeah, kind of like this right here.
Yes, the blue, yes. Yeah. And she started talking to me. She goes, Lisa, she says, I want to show you something. And I thought, oh, what's she going to show me? So she goes towards the window. She went ahead of me. And I thought, okay. So I went out behind her. It's like a liquid feeling. This would describe it. It's like going through liquids, like the wall. It's a little different when the Greys took me out, but it's like a liquid feeling. and it would turn dark for a sec as you pass through. As before I stepped out, I froze. I thought, was I was afraid, even though I saw her float down to the ground, I was still a little timid about going out. It's like, okay, what if I fall? And she told me it's going to be okay. She says, you're not going to fall. She taunted me a little bit. Then I finally stepped out and I floated so neatly, so comfortably down to the ground. It's just like this invisible force had a hold of me. And I went down beside her. Then I realized how she's looking to the right. And I thought, what's she looking at? And so she took a hold of me and she told me that to walk, like she didn't want me just running towards it. She took a hold of me by my hand. And I thought, what's she looking at? As I got stepped over further outside, I noticed something. Like it was different. It was like I see like a bit of a blur. And I go, what is that? You know, as I got closer, it was like a blurry thing there. And she told me, she goes, Lisa, put your right hand up in front of you and walk over slowly. Like she told me to keep my palm up. So I did what she told me. As I got closer before I touched it, I could see her ship. But it's like looking at a mirror. And I can see my reflection. And when I got closer to it, I put my hand on it. It felt warm, a little warm. And it was not sitting on the ground. I thought, how come this has no landing gear? How's it floating like this? I was curious about it. So I wanted to go underneath it. So she let me go underneath it. And when I did, I noticed something like a teardrop, this way of putting it. Something like that. Little piece. Just a little piece was sticking out underneath it. And she let me touch it. And again, it felt warm. And it's like a mirror. It's like fascinating. And I thought, how come this thing's floating? And then she calmed me, back out. So I came up beside her and she looked at it. She examined it, like at the side. I went in front of it. She told me to be careful approaching the front because the front's like a point, like a triangle, like a very pointed triangle. That's how it's shaped, like a triangle. So I touched that. And when I looked up, I could see another piece on top, like a smaller triangle sitting on top of her ship. The thing is, though, I couldn't see the window. I thought, doesn't this thing have windows? This is like a mirror. This way of putting it. I couldn't see any windows, anything on it. So she took me along the side of it. She took my hand. We floated on top of the ship on a small triangle piece there. And she's saying, would you want to go into my ship? And I thought, okay, there's no door on this thing. How do we get into this ship? So she told me to look down. I did. The best way to describe it is like when you take a rock and you drop in the water, you know how you see the circles?
Right.
That's how our ship will open, something like that. It's like liquid, look to it, and it opened right up. And it was really bright, like it was white, the light. It's like really bright white. She let me go in first. I actually went over to the right side. And she told me, the left side. So now Lisa go over to the right side. So I went over to the right seat. And we both went in. After we sat in, I could feel the seats like move forward a bit by themselves. And I thought, how did this happen? And I was really excited. I was talking to her, really excited, I thought. And I was looking, I go, oh, neat. I can see out the windows. I can see outside. And I was talking to her. Right away, I didn't know that we're moving, that we're actually going up. Because I didn't feel anything. You don't hear any engines. You don't feel movement even. I looked out the window. I was like, oh, wow. You know, you look out the window of an airplane, you can see what's underneath it. Her ship is just like a blur. You're going that fast. It's just like a big blur. And just in seconds, I mean, no time, she can go from our Earth way up, looking down at the planet. No matter a couple seconds. That's all it took for us to go. That fast.
Where did you travel in space?
For a while, at first she just took me around the planet a few times. She done that. Then she took me around the moon. She done that at first. Then after that, she took me outside. I believe it's outside the solar system where she took me, because I never gone past Mars. Never seen Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. I never seen that. And next I know, I just seen stars for a while, not very long. And then she says to me, she goes, "Do you see it?" And I thought, okay, what's she talking about now? Like, I was looking, just look in front of you. So I kept looking and looking. And again, it had that cloaked look to it. At first, I just seen stars. And it wasn't until we got really close. It's like, again, first it looked black with stars all over it. When you got closer to it, you can see it's like a mirror. And the same look as her spaceship. And it was huge. I mean, huge. It was, even to an adult, I can still see it look huge. It's like as far as your eye can see as we approached it before we entered it. Instead, like you see on these science fiction shows, like they show a great big huge door open up. Her ship wasn't like that. Like it only opens up compared to the size of ship you're on. Like it only the same water look. Her small ship opened. So this one too. This the small, this big enough for her small ship to go into. And it was so bright in there. I mean, really bright. And it was really white in there. And it was huge. The hangar they took me into was huge. It was, all the walls were white. I don't remember seeing lights in there. I think I don't know, they're up in the ceiling. I don't know. I remember it's just really bright in there. And
Did you see any other people?
oh yes, there was actually quite a lot in there. Yeah, and I remember first time I got there, we got out of her little ship. I noticed her ship looked white because it's reflecting all the white walls from inside the hangar. And around her ship, it had like a white bluish light going around it on the bottom. Look at this glowed whitish blue. And first time she took me in there, she met a man. He's actually a little taller than her. And he was a man. He had on the same suit Angie has on. And I know, yes, the time she took me to the hangar, she's wearing a two-piece blue suit. Instead of a jumpsuit, when she took me to the hangar, she's wearing a two-piece suit. And the man she met, he's wearing the same suit as her. He's actually a little taller than her. He has like reddish hair. His skin was actually a little darker than Angie's. Like he wasn't as fair as her. And I remember she was talking to him. I couldn't hear what they're talking about. And next thing I know, this little girl comes over to me, starts talking to me. She has white hair and a fair skin like Angie. The only thing different with her eyes were yellow. And she started talking to me. She actually became like a friend to me. So every time I was there, she'd be there too. And
It's almost like they assigned you guides to help you through the abduction experiences and the encounters on board these vehicles.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the fact is, when you went around the moon, did you see the craters?
Yes.
Did you see anything else?
That's all I remember.
What about Mars?
I just seen, like, we only gotten so close to it. Like, we didn't go to the atmosphere. We got close enough, but we went around it a few times. But I didn't really go in too far to see anything. I
Well,
wanted to, though. I wanted to, can you take me to the moon? Can you take me to Mars? But it just didn't happen.
Mhm.
No. It's been interesting now, because I know people said they have seen things on the moon. Perhaps she just didn't have me in that area. It's probably why she just didn't have me in the area, or for some reason I just don't remember. But it would be interesting if I have seen that.
It would be. Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this, Lisa. When was your last experience that you remember?
Last week.
Really? That recent?
Wow.
Last week.
And can
Can
you
you
elaborate on that one?
Like I said earlier, like, I'm seeing the Greys. There's a couple of Reptilians, and I'm seeing the Men in Black as well. And it's not a very comfortable feeling. I mean, waking up and you see them in your room, it's not a very, it's like, what's going on here? And I don't like the feeling I'm getting from them. It makes,
Nancy Volker in the chat was asking you, Lisa, did the little girl that you made friends with have a name?
yes, she did. It starts with an E. Like, I did not use their names in the book, their real names. The reason why I've done that, because I thought myself, someone comes up to me and says, well, I know a Nordic by this name or that name. I know if they say it, you know what I'm saying, then I'll know for sure. That's why I'm kind of hoping maybe somebody will know. Maybe someone else may run into them. So that's why I didn't use the real names.
We have another. Sorry, go ahead, Tommy.
Well, I was going to say we had another question in the chat room. If you happen to know this, do you know what your blood type is, and do you have the same blood type as your children?
Yes, yes, I know my blood type. We have my husband, my two boys. We have the same.
Everybody, okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have another question from Brent Elliott, who says, "Was the back of the moon dark or light when you went around it?"
Actually, I wouldn't say it was really dark. Reason why it's called Dark Side of the Moon is because we don't see it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's really pitch black. No, I was actually surprised.
Well, again, everybody, she's got a new book out there. Tim, can you throw that back up there, please? The overlay. Definitely get out and check this out. It's on Amazon. You're going to want to get a copy of this. It goes into all the details. It's a very interesting story. It's definitely a great read. The price is absolutely right on it. So we definitely urge you to go out there and grab a copy of that as soon as you possibly can. And Tim, I understand that we were actually lucky enough this evening to have a UFO review video. Is that correct?
Yes, I will get to the UFO video review here in a second. What I wanted to say, what I wanted to say about Lisa's book is it's a very good read. I have read it personally myself twice. Here's my copy. Thanks to Lisa Savoy, who sent it to us, signed. And I want to say she has gone through some horrific things. And if you think she's not telling the truth, read the book. You'll feel differently. And if you realize that a lot of people are going through these situations, you can see the scope of what's actually occurring and why there is no control over it. So please get the book. Good deal on Amazon, $12.95. Not a real high price, but great read. Okay, we will go into the UFO video review. introduced by Tommy. Here we go. Okay, you'll be able to talk over these. This is a photograph a gentleman took of an object that has multiple lights around the outside.
Mm.
And you'll see it when I bring it in and change the color filters.
Huh.
Okay.
Got a bunch of lights around it. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's one.
Do we know that? I'm sorry, where this is taken at again, Tim?
This was taken over Poland.
Hold on. Huh.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip coming out of San Leandro, California, dated February 3rd, 2022, of a stationary light that appears to be strobing in a couple different light patterns. Okay, one thing I want to say about this, I misspoke. It's not actually one light. If you watch it really close, it's multiple lights. It's probably 2 or 3. You could see them from time to time, but it is stationary. And according to the videographer, there was absolutely no noise.
Wonder if anybody's checked that out to see if that was binary code or something is flashing or some kind of an actual pattern.
See, somebody thought it might be Morse code. Yeah, Snoopy says it looks like 3 lights. He is correct. I think it's 3 lights. And then these are just some still shots of the object a little larger when it's bright.
Huh.
And here's the footage again. I thought it was interesting that the light is so bright that the light spans the entire skyline.
Yeah.
Incredibly bright light.
Yeah.
Somebody in my chat beneath the video thought it might be a drone with a strobe, but
hey guys, it's UFO
it was
Man.
really
Here's
bright.
a clip coming out
Awfully
of
bright.
Moscow, Russia, dated February 13th, 2022, of what appears to be a ring-shaped object that seems to be spinning vertically. It is traveling against a southwest wind at 25 miles per hour. What it is unknown at this point. It has been submitted to MUFON and is still under investigation.
You know, this is the second time, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, this is the second time we've seen the Cheerio.
Yeah, it is. But this one was interesting because if you look at the right, left corners, bottom and top, it looks like it's spinning. And it's spinning vertically. If it was a drone, I would think it couldn't do that. Snoopy says it looks like a donut. I know other people have said that there was an encounter recently where an airliner came in contact with something like that and almost had an incident. So who knows? And these are some stills. Kind of see an energy field around it.
I want to say the last one was in South America. That's Helen Gone from Moscow.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip showing a Southwest Airlines jet flying out of Los Angeles International Airport. It is a 737 jumbo jet. Passing it on its left wingtip is an unknown object.
And that thing is moving too, because that jet's probably going a couple 100 miles an hour at that point, probably 3. And look at that, just right past it. And here's the thing about airports, airspace. They are so particular about what's in the airspace.
Right.
You know, they don't test special equipment, stuff like that around a commercial airliner. They just don't do it.
Not that close. And I do know that drones fly at airports to scare off birds, but this plane is high up compared to where the drone would be flying. And other than that, if it's somebody's personal drone, they're in a lot of trouble.
It's probably way too big for that, looking at the size of it. And look at the closure, the closure speed there. I mean, it's whipping right past that jet like that jet's sitting still.
That's what I think too. It's definitely not a drone. It's something else.
It's too fast.
Yep.
It's a really good clip. Okay, there's the object. That's the best I could get it to look. Here it is again, a replay. Boom.
I mean, even if that were another aircraft, I just don't see.
Hey guys, it's you,
ATC
Here's
letting
a
them
clip
get that
coming out of
close.
Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Hold on. Go ahead.
I just don't see air traffic control letting another plane get that close that's moving that fast. Yeah, I don't think this was another aircraft, folks. That was something different.
I also wonder if the pilot saw it, or it may have been too fast to have been seen. Okay, this is over Sao Paulo, Brazil on 123.
Dated January 23rd, 2022, of an oval object that appears to have living plasma or maybe morphing plasma within the confines of the object itself. This object actually appears just like the objects I filmed personally back in July of 2009 of 6 rectangular objects with this same kind of movement of plasma within the confines of each object.
Right. That's exactly this craft right here. I have had an actual encounter with it. I mean, think about the story, Tim. I mean, that's it right there. It's a weird ball of plasma looking thing. And there were two smaller ones, and it was in trouble. It was going out, like the light was going out or whatever, it was dripping this crap, this really bright stuff. And then two smaller ones, real bright ones, came up, pulled up next to it. They sat there with it for like an hour, repaired it, and they all left together. I watched that happen, and that's it right there.
And the neat thing about this is the movement of the light within the actual object is exactly what I saw in those rounded off rectangles in a horizontal line evenly spaced back in July of 2009. But I saw 6, and this is 1.
I never thought I'd see it again. I mean, we've seen things that were close to it, but this is it. That's it right there.
And you saw it here, Tommy.
I'm completely blown away right now.
Yes.
Renee Cruz says it's a flying brain.
Wow.
Game Vet says looked like a face for a second. Brent Elliott says space herpy. And it's extremely bright, and I think it's extremely large as well. There it is. Hey, this is a cylinder that's passing behind that tower. And a plane will pass it. Or I think he's more in front of it than he is near it. There he goes. Somebody suggested that's a jet.
It's not a meteor. It's not contrails. If it were contrails, it would be longer than that. I don't know what that is.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a couple of still shots of a giant cylinder object over Mexico City dated 1/25/2022, showing a small plane passing either beneath it or by it.
And that plane could be miles away from it from this perspective, but that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes. Here's an excited family films a cylinder object, no sound noted. It kind of starts to the right. You'll see it over the tree. Then it'll come in. I'll play the original audio coming up. Watch it flare. It'll flare up really bright.
Heck of us.
Wow, look at that. Super cool.
¿Qué mierda es eso? Un ovni, chabón. ¿Qué mierda, loco?
Real bright blue light.
¿Cómo se ve? Está cayendo ese chabón. Mira, 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 mira. Augusto,
Yeah,
chabón,
and it's
que
going
no
to take
veo,
off in a second,
Julia.
too. Yeah.
There it is right there. Right there, when at full brightness.
Salí, pajero. Salí, salí. ¿Qué mierda es eso?
Snoopy says this UFO is showing off.
¿Qué mierda, loco? Sí, pero no sé cómo se ve. Está cayendo ese chabón. Mira, 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 mira. Augusto, chabón, que no veo, Julia.
Absolutely
Hey
amazing.
guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip coming out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, over a freeway of a large object with multiple lights.
Yeah, now right here you can't see it very clear, but it does zoom. They do zoom in and you can see it better. There it is.
It's one object. It looks like it's, I mean, they're not moving around. It looks to me like it's like a solid.
Right, I don't know what that is.
Huh. Amazing.
Nanine says they are letting us know they are not far.
Oh, I actually believe that they are becoming more brazen. I really do.
Okay, this is over Nizhny Novgorod, Russia on 2/1/2022. The young boy thinks it's possibly a helicopter, and then he realizes it's something else. Watch.
Во-во, сейчас поднимается, вот оно. Вот оно, не фокусирует. Вот опять к нам летит. Тихо, тихо, блин, он не хочет фокусироваться, как назло. Вот, летит и светит. Летит и
And it
светит.
lands.
И не фокусируется на нем. Все по классике.
Wow, it does land. Look at that. Unreal. What
Hey
is
guys,
that?
it's UFO Man. Here's a clip coming out of Nizhny Novgorod, which is a large city on the Volga River in western Russia. Filmed on February 1st, 2022, appears to be a large ball of light moving in front of the trees over a field just outside the city.
Yeah, and then it lands.
That is
Snoopy
just
says
amazing.
there's that. Snoopy says there's that X-Files whistle. Yeah, it is amazing. Look how bright it is.
Super bright. Bright as any drone.
Like there's a blue ring around it.
Now, these are just still shots. Possible landing. There it is.
No, that's
Right there.
landing.
Outstanding.
I think it's fairly big too.
Here are two Russian Sukhoi 30 jets intercepting a large disk. I actually thought they were MiG jets, but I was wrong. And I was graciously corrected by someone in my chat comments below the video. I also talked to DB Cooper about it, who's in the chat. And these are Sukhoi jets. You can tell because the wings are swept backwards.
Yeah.
That's amazing. They are on that thing. Look at that. I mean, they're close flybys.
This is an older clip. I would say it came from about 1993. But it's a really good one, and that's why I put it up. Snoopy says these UFOs are brazen and must be meeting with someone. There it is.
I bumped up saturation in contrast with the
Okay, this is not a
Saturn.
UFO.
This
This
is
is
what
Saturn.
laser beam started popping off of Saturn, so check it out.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip coming out about Saturn. It has been brightened significantly so that you can see these beams of light that are coming out from the rings. What do you make of them?
Yeah, what do you make of them? They're coming off the rings.
Yeah.
That's different, isn't it?
What would be causing that? Yeah, it's
Well, somebody
just-
thought maybe it's the ring makers of Saturn putting out light. The ring makers of Saturn being the large ships that have been seen and photographed by satellite in the rings of Saturn.
Interesting.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip coming out of Lviv, Ukraine, dated March 7th, 2022. Some security cam footage captured an alleged UFO. Check it out, make an assessment, let me know what you think. In my opinion, the camera filmed something that was so bright that it distorted the image. So it's very difficult to tell what it is. Now, I do know that the security cam footage also recorded audio, and in this case, there was absolutely no sound noted.
Brent Elliott says poor optics in that scope. Yes, I agree. What the deal is it's a motion security camera that can adjust its angle according to the motion in front of it. So that's really cool. Thank you, Jonathan. My brother's here and he just wished me happy birthday. My birthday is tomorrow. Yes, I'm going to be 29 again. So thank you, Jonathan.
Might want to put a couple zeros after that there, Tim.
Oh, 2,900. Thanks, Tommy. I know, Brent, you were talking about Saturn. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
That could be anything at this point over the
Right.
Ukraine, but it's awfully bright. And wow.
And the camera itself could record audio. So if there's no sound, I would say that rules out a helicopter. I thought maybe it was a helicopter at first. But
Anything that big, yeah, you should hear rotor washing something that big for sure.
yeah.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip coming out of the Nellis Test Range in Nevada, dated February 25th, 2022.
Yeah, check
Filmed at
this out.
6:43 p.m.
Now, this was filmed by a tour group, a VIP German-speaking tour group who went on a tour of Area 51 in the surrounding area, and they caught this on film.
Could be
Now, I
our
slowed
sport,
it
could be
down
a
here.
sport model.
I slowed it down here so you could see the color changes right there. And then it changes direction.
Abruptly
Then-
changes direction.
Yep. And this is normal speed here. You see how fast it flies off. Then these are some still shots showing the different colors.
Oh.
And here's a UFO over Nellis Test Range. Thank you, Thomas, for the $5 super chat. Okay, that is our UFO video review for 3/12/2022. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Nice work, Tim. Very nicely done. Well, Lisa, do you have any last thoughts this evening?
Last thoughts. I just want to say thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for everybody joining in with us tonight. And you guys have really awesome videos. I always enjoy watching your UFO videos.
And
Yes.
we enjoy listening to your story. If you write the second book that you're talking about,
Mhm.
please let us know when it comes out so that
Oh, I will.
we can pick it up, and we can pick up your story and interview you again and share it with everybody online. I think people need to know that this is really happening,
Mhm.
that we don't just go to work and come home and feed our kids or eat supper and go to bed and watch TV. Other things are interfering on our lives, and we have no control over the situation. And your case does explain that. And so does Terry's, but I think we lost him. So we want to thank you very much for being on the show.
You're
We
welcome.
also want to thank all our subscribed members to the channel. So here we go. We're going to put them up. Donna McFadden, Beats, Occam's Razor, Victor Morales, Lisa Smoltz, John Bierson, Nick Hansen, Tom Stryker, Robert Smith, Jenny Starr, Victoria Eggerts, April Schlentz, Trevor Nickerson, Peter Braze, Philip Glynis, and Kevin Ships. To join our channel, it's only $1.99. So if you're interested in doing so, you'll get fancy emojis and you'll also get some perks. So please come over and feel free to join. Also, remember to pick up Lisa's book. It's on Amazon, $12.95, free delivery with Prime. So check it out. It's also, it looks like it's free on Kindle. This is the cover, so you can recognize it. And please check it out. She's a really good person, and she's telling the truth. So here's a new version of the truth for you to look at. Okay, so everybody online, thank you for watching tonight, and thanks to everybody in the chat. Tommy, any last words?
Just wanted to thank everybody for coming out as always. Lisa, thank you for being here. What a wonderful story. Folks, get out and grab that book for sure. A couple of things we wanted to say. Thoughts and prayers go out to the folks in Ukraine, what they're going through right now. Wanted to say that. And again, want to thank everybody for coming out. Tim, you did a wonderful job on the UFO videos. I mean, I saw something that I never thought I'd see again, and there it was. So I'm still kind of shaky over that, to be honest. But again, thanks for coming out, everyone. Really appreciate it. And we will see you the same time next week.
Yes. See you next Saturday. Good night. Sorry.
I think